Hello, hello. Hello, AD family. Come on, everybody. Now it is as ADD as can be. On, everybody. Now we all got ADD. On, everybody. Whoop, daddy. Oh. No, I'll get too crazy. I happen to be on Sixes Road. Sixes Road dead ends into where you go through public shopping with a pineapple and where swingers meet. Neighborhoods right next to it is, what's the name of it again? Somebody, please. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Brentwood, something. I've said it before, right down the street. Not what the story's about. On with today's story. So, drum roll, please. So, where we left off last time, I've gone through and I've looked at videos that I've done. I don't know how, why. Number one, coincidence one's got almost 500 views, and the next one's only got 90 something. So people didn't pick up. I guess maybe I didn't say enough or good enough for the first one. I don't know why people haven't gone on to watch second and third, but maybe it'll take time, whatever. So, as always, I'll forget something in the story. So, touch on the last one. Where we left off, where I had gone to court, okay, and dipped and dodged from my probation officer all day long, right? I forgot to tell the ending. So prior to this is this same Judge Rosenberg, something like that, who had told me the last time I was in his courtroom, don't ever come back in my courtroom, son. Whatever I'd done, whatever he told me, he would throw the book at me. I guess he felt like he'd give me a break. There again, he told me, don't ever come to my courtroom. So when I come back the second time, luckily, thank God, he didn't recognize my name, I guess, because I had just been in his courtroom. I don't remember how soon prior, but prior I was already in his courtroom. I think it was less than a year. So I get up to the stand right as my probation officer's just leaving, and as I've discussed, I'm the second to last or the last person. And so I guess it's the very end of the day. It's 5 o'clock now. So I get up to the stand, and he says, "How do you plead?" Plead not guilty. He said, "Okay, son, I'm going to give you. You got two options here. You can either plead nolo, I think, and I may or may not have been able to. But basically, what he's saying is you can take a plea right here today and get probation and a fine, and it won't be that bad on you. Or you could take it to state court, and they'll hang you out to dry." So he was trying his hardest for me to cop the plea and take the deal, which if I would have taken the deal right then and there, I would have wind up going right back to face the probation officer I was avoiding. Like I said, there was only one probation officer in the city of Marietta. I'm not going to say the lady's name. I got haters. And she was the only one. And she made him be retired. A judge or somebody hit on her, and she sued the state and won a bunch of money, either prior to this or I think after this. So she was one of these kind of bitter old nitbitties, right? So I'm sitting there, and he says, "How do you plead?" Like I said, either cop a plea right here, and we'll just give you probation, or you can take it to state to trial, and they're going to hang you out to dry, kid. Like I said, he was trying his damnedest to get me to take it, but I couldn't. I was already absconding from this town, and how they didn't pick up on it in the court is another mind bend. So years later, this is when I was like 22-ish, right? 22, 23. I know specifically, I was 25 or 26 when I ran into my PO at the lady at the Mexican restaurant. Years later, and she called the police. This is way, way, way before then. So, like I said, even years down the road, I was 25, 26. I had gotten together with that crazy girl that I spoke about, how I met my wife through an ex-girlfriend. And this was like I said, 3-4 years after this. So I tell the judge, no, I'll take my chances. I'll take it to state. So by doing that, I may have gotten in more trouble, but I'm taking it out of Marietta and I'm taking it over to Cobb County. So there again, if I would have copped the plea, I would have been having a report to the lady I'm already in trouble with. So it was a godsend, got me out of there. So I take it to state court. I take it to trial. And anybody knows it's a scary ordeal. Taking stuff to trial, they can throw the book at you. You can wind up doing real jail time, maybe even prison time. So I rolled the dice and I take it to state court to get out of the city of Marietta. And I go to state court and it's a slap on the wrist. Here's another one I even forgot while I'm on the brain. Maybe I should write it down before I forget it. So I take it to state trial, and when I go to state court, they give me probation. I get a probation officer, this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was a few years older than me, and he knew me. We went to high school together. He was a couple of grades older than me, but he knew, I didn't know him, but he knew who I was. And he was very nice, very cool. He never drug tested me, and it was due for drug tests. I never once had a drug test. I was only on probation for like 3 or 4 months, right? I had to take this, I think, a defensive driving course and pay a fine, and I think I had some community service. And when I got done with all that, he was going to release me. I got an early release. So like I said, I coincidentally went to school with my probation officer who let me off the hook. Before this, when I went to court, when I went to jail in Cherokee County, I've discussed this. I went to jail and I spent 3.5 months in jail, and then I spent another 4 months in probation detention center boot camp, right? When I was put on probation, first I went to court. When I revoked, they sent me to court. My lawyer was Mitch Durham. Mitch Durham was Jimmy Berry's associate. Jimmy Berry is the Johnny Cochran of Georgia. Jimmy Berry, you can look that up. Like, he took the Fred Tokar's case, a high-profile case. Like I said, Jimmy Berry was the SHIT. He was the man, right? I had known people that had gotten busted for heavy drugs, used him. He was very expensive. Guy Emerson that I talked about used him, and Harry Krumenauer. So Mitch Durham was under Jimmy Berry. I'm going to court with Mitch Durham. My probation officer is Barbara Berry. She's Jimmy Berry's daughter. My probation officer, her dad, my lawyer is her dad. My probation officer's dad's associate is my lawyer. I went to court with Mitch Durham, who is under Jimmy Berry, and Barbara Berry was my probation officer. Another one of these weird ones that just came across me. I'd forgotten all about that. Like I said, this weird kind of stuff crossing paths with people's gone on my whole life. Just a couple. I'm just trying to fill people in. I discussed this. My wife's grandfather and my wife's wealthy uncle, who my wife's father was a POS, left the scene at a young kid, was a dirtbag. So she grew up without a father. Her grandpa was her father, okay? She was, and her uncle's Robert Lamb, he built a neighborhood, as I've discussed this, in Marietta. He was very wealthy. I've discussed this all. He was high up in IBM. And as a matter of fact, coincidentally, when the 9/11 happened that morning, this is before he retired, how I remember now. He had a big corporate meeting at the place, at where the Twin Towers was blown up. He had a a business meeting down there in New York. Robert.